Oh, we have arrived. Indeed, we have arrived. And what are we going to talk about? Quite simply, what was announced yesterday really kind of made me think. And I said, I'll do this video after I've had some sleep. So, for those of you in the know, Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate were supposed to, allegedly, fight at the end of the year, or really the January 2nd card, have a trilogy match. And lots of people anticipated it. After Tate won her last fight against Jessica Ai, it was pretty much viewed as the next fight on the horizon. And some fans seem to be accepting of that, and that's cool. However, yesterday morning in American time, it was announced that Holm and Ronda Rousey would then be fighting on January the 2nd at UFC 195, I believe. And when I heard that, that provoked a lot of thoughts that I want to share with you all, because I know there are going to be a lots of divided opinions on this. And my thought is this. Holm is a very, very good technical striker, and I say that technique-wise, not just MMA-based, but boxing, kickboxing. She's got good technique. She's very, very good there. I still feel that she needs more seasoning in MMA, really in the UFC, before you give her a Ronda Rousey fight. After seeing what Ronda Rousey just did to Betch Cohere, after seeing what Ronda Rousey did to Sarah McCann, after seeing what she did to Miesha Tate prior to that, I think that your opponents, or you're basically going to need to have someone that's an absolute destroyer and is not showing any kind of nerves and lack of confidence to go in there with a Ronda Rousey for it to be viewed as a sellable and buyable fight. In a similar sense to, how Pacquiao and Mayweather came together, in the sense that when Pacquiao obliterated De La Hoya and obliterated Hatton and had those classic fights with Marquez, people were like, well, Pacquiao's the guy that is going to beat Floyd Mayweather. He's the only guy that could beat Floyd Mayweather. I think especially after the Margarito fight, people said that, and I don't feel like Holm has that kind of momentum just yet. I saw her first fight against Raquel Pennington, and again, technique-wise, she looked on point. No criticisms from me there. But the nerves and the confidence seemed to be an issue. She looked very, very, very nervous in that fight. And I think the moment got to her a little bit, because if you watch, she's kind of pacing back and forth before they're announcing her name. And not in the way that, some fighters do. I've seen enough of her fights to tell you that she doesn't usually do that. And then when you see her, she's like that in the fight. And that told me she was very nervous. And it was not really a blow-away performance, to be honest with you. It was a split decision. And then her next fight, she fared a lot better, obviously. But again, I still sensed a lot of those nerves. And one of the points made after that was that Mike Winklejohn and Greg Jackson both felt that she needed more seasoning, more grooming, and more time to develop at her own pace before they put her and contemplate putting her in there with Ronda Rousey. And I feel as a viewer, as a fan, that actually is very applicable, because she did clearly need a bit more time to get those UFC jitters out of her system. And again, after seeing what Ronda Rousey has done to her last couple of opponents, really all of her opponents, you do need someone that has that kind of momentum, and I don't feel like Holly has it just yet. But we also have to look at the reasons as to why this fight may have been put together. Number one, everybody's saying the same thing. Oh, well, just put Chris Cyborg in there. Put Chris Cyborg. Cyborg and Ronda Rousey, biggest women's fight of all time. Cyborg and Rousey, UFC 200. That's the point. UFC 200 is probably when you're going to see that fight. Cyborg and Ronda Rousey is probably the biggest fight, one of the biggest MMA fights, not just women's fights, biggest MMA fights. That's a fight that I could see happening at UFC 200. And they're going to need a lot of negotiation and a lot of discussion with Cyborg, because we know how well that has gone down in the last couple of years with her. And I think probably between now and UFC 200, they could put that together. Also, the other issue is the fact that Cyborg walks around at about 175 pounds to 180 pounds. She's bigger than me. Okay, she's got bigger fucking arms than me. And that tells me that she's not doing the things that she needs to do to get her body down to a weight where she could safely get to bantamweight if she was going to fight Ronda Rousey. And of course, if Cyborg doesn't have a leg to stand on when she says, well, Ronda should go up. Look, Ronda's not the one that failed the test. So as far as I'm concerned, Cyborg needs to fight Ronda. Ronda doesn't need to fight Cyborg in that sense. Secondly, Miesha Tate. Of course, they have a history. We all saw their fight. We all saw their fight in Strikeforce a few years ago when a young upstart Ronda Rousey called out Miesha Tate, and Miesha and her first women's main event. And actually, it was not the first women's main event. It was a main event for a Strikeforce card. It was Ronda's first fight at bantamweight. And a lot of people were against the idea, but I understood that it's marketing and promotion and selling fights, and that Ronda had done such an effective job with her talking that it had made this fight very intriguing to watch. And when we know what happened, Ronda beat her and was the Strikeforce bantamweight champion, then moved over to be the UFC bantamweight champion, women's bantamweight champion. Then we saw that Tate and Rousey had the Ultimate Fighter against one another. They clearly don't like each other. There's heat there. It's a very easy fight to do. So easy because they do not like one another. The interviews are always going to be fantastic to watch. The promotion is so easy. The promotion is just easy. It's such an easy fight to go to. They fought the second time, and again, I felt that Ronda blew her out. I do think that two arguments you can make is, number one, Tate took her into later rounds. Yep, that's true. But number two, the other thing you could say is that she had a really wacky game plan. I don't know why they kept telling her to basically try and charge at her with wrestling. I think it was Brian Caraway telling her to do that, Mrs. Tate telling her to do that. And it's like, you don't do that against someone like Ronda Rousey, who knows judo and can use your momentum against you, and pretty much just flung her around and gave her a good jab and flung her around. I do think with a better game plan she could give her a better fight, but after the last two fights and Ronda's last few fights in general, I'm not too sure how sellable of a threat Miesha Tate is against Ronda Rousey. Sellable as a grudge match? Yes. Sellable as a threat? Not too sure. So who else is there? Jessica I lost to Miesha Tate. Kat Zingano's out of the picture right now. Sarah McCann is out of the picture right now. So you might as well just throw in Holly Holm in that sense. I can see why they did that. Obviously, she's a project to the UFC, and this is someone they want to bring along slowly. The one problem that they could have also is this: if Holly Holm doesn't win, that could kind of hurt her credibility in a sense, because she's just been blown out by the champion, so what's the point of her ever fighting that person again? However, and this is the beauty of being a professional wrestling fan, because the pro wrestling fan in me thinks, okay, here's what could happen. Much like in wrestling when you, fuck it, let me just cut to the meat and potatoes. Holly Holm goes in there, fights Ronda Rousey, Rousey beats her. You can always argue that Holly Holm did not have the experience and was kind of thrown in there, and you could kind of make her a sympathetic figure if she lost, and then you could kind of rebuild her, get her more confident again, and then you could have the rematch, and you could always in the rematch say, well, here is why she lost the first time, and now let's see if this applies a second time. So there is that one thing you could do, and that's the one safe option you could take. I think personally it's a marketing decision. Put her in there with a fresh opponent that she's never fought before. I also think that it's a decision based on the fact that they can't do the Cyborg fight right now, and they need to keep Ronda busy between present day to January the 2nd. So why not do that? Do I think it's ideal in terms of the progression of Holly Holmes and the progression of making this a huge mega fight? A Ronda Rousey fight is a mega fight on its own, but I feel like you need to give her a real sellable and buyable threat for the fight to fucking hell, what is wrong with me? To reach maximum capacity. So to me, I kind of wish they had kind of waited. However, they're not. They're going to go with it right away. What do I think is going to happen? I see Ronda winning the fight personally. So that's what I feel. If Holly Holm had a bit more cage experience, funny enough, she's had more MMA experience than Ronda. But if she had more experience to get those UFC jitters out, more headline experience, then I could see Holm giving her a really, really good fight. That is always the question mark to me with Holly, is the nerves and the confidence. Anyways, I am going to stop. You let me know what you think. You let me know how you feel. I am going to head out now, so you comment down below. Do you like this idea? Do you not like this idea? Do you feel like Miesha Tate got screwed out of a title fight? I feel like Miesha Tate has become the John Fitch of women's fighting, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean she's going to probably get overlooked quite a few times. It's just that she's better to look at than John Fitch. Anyways, I'm out of here, guys. Take care, peace. Subscribe if you haven't, and I will be back later.